Hey there everyone, it's the Gare Bear here, and I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day, and welcome to the channel. So today, as you can see, I have the Suburban behind me, and the big project for today, because I've been wanting to do a video with the Suburban, and I was actually planning on just kind of doing a walk around and just kind of showing you guys, what the car is like, and just kind of a general review of my Suburban, since I've owned that one the longest out of all the cars I've had for a long time. But instead, I have a little special project that I came up with last weekend, and all the stuff has come in. Well, not a lot of stuff, just one thing. So I figured I would go ahead and show you guys what we're going to do today, and that is install wheel spacers! That's right, I bought 2-inch wheel spacers. These are rough country wheel spacers. They're made out of aluminum. And I wanted to go ahead and try these just to kind of give the Suburban a little bit of a wider stance. Right now, it might be kind of hard to tell, but if I kind of give it maybe a different angle. See, the wheels kind of stick in on the Suburban. They don't really stick out, and it just has kind of that soccer mom look at this point. And, I'm not really looking to spend money to put in, a whole new set of rims and tires and stuff like that. Because, I like these rims. They look fine. I mean, they're not custom or anything, but, I think they're pretty good looking. And the tires still have plenty of tread left. And they're Goodyear Wrangler or all-terrain adventure tires. So, they're good enough to go off-road a little bit, as much as I do. And they're also really nice on the road. But yeah, so that's our project for today, is putting these wheel spacers on that car. Okay, so now that we know what we're trying to accomplish today, now you're probably wondering, Garrett, how do I do this? How can I do this to my own car? Well, let's get started. But first, let's talk about what you need. So obviously, you're going to need... You're going to need 4 wheel spacers. Like I said earlier, these are the rough country 2-inch wheel spacers. These are the 6 lug because I have a 1500 Suburban with 6 lug nuts on each wheel. They also come in 8 lug, and these ones are lug-centric. So what lug-centric means, at least from what I gathered after reading online, is that pretty much all of the weight of the wheel and all that stress is going to be resting on the lug nuts rather than on the hub of the wheel. And if you read online, there's a lot of people that say, don't cheap out, go with the hub-centric. Some people say that lug-centric is very unsafe. And then there's a lot of people that I read that said that lug-centric is perfectly fine as long as you tighten them with the star pattern, which you would normally do anyways. I don't know why you wouldn't. And, pretty much as long as you install them correctly, they're perfectly safe. So, take, whatever you read with a grain of salt. And really, you're going to have to make that decision on your own. But like I said, I'm going to be using lug-centric. And so this will be kind of a test case. And we'll see if I have any issues, if there's any wobble or any, negative effects on driving ability. I may or may not run these for a very long time. If I like the wider stance or if I want them even wider, in the future I may very well go ahead and just upgrade to a, I think maybe a little beefier of a wheel. And, something maybe a little bit more custom, a little more aftermarket. But for right now, this is a good trial run. So, lug-centric. You're also going to need a jack. You can use jack stands with this jack and, lift it up, put it on jack stands. But I'm not going to really be underneath the car, and it's not going to take me that long to do what I need to do. So I'm not going to do that. So I may get some flack on this video for doing it that way, but, I'm only doing one tire at a time. It's not going to be that big of a deal to me, so, if you think it's unsafe, use jack stands, use a bigger jack, whatever, it's okay. You do you, it's okay. And the final thing you're going to need, because this comes with the lug nuts that we need, we've got the jack covered, you're going to need a torque wrench. Now, a lot of people may not even have a torque wrench. I didn't, so I went ahead and bought this. If you want, you can just use a normal wrench to loosen up and tighten your lugs on your wheel when you're all done with this project. But I really wanted this to be done as professionally as possible, just to mitigate any possibility of having an issue down the road. So I'm going to tighten everything down to the factory specs, and hopefully everything runs perfectly with this new setup. But let's go ahead and get started. Step one, we're going to go ahead and put the jack under the car, and there's the frame rail right there, if you can see my hand, and we're going to go ahead and use this as the jacking point for both of the front wheels. So we'll do this on each side, jack it up, and do each one of these wheels separately. So let's do that right now. But wait, before we continue jacking up the car, don't forget we should probably loosen the bolts on the wheels first before we jack up that section of the car. So I have my little socket head right here, and we're going to go ahead and take off this cover first, try to loosen all these guys. But yeah, just note to anyone that has these wheels or anything like this, these are not the actual lug nuts. Those are just a decorative little thing on the cap. But yeah, I'm just using this to kind of hand loosen these, and then see these just kind of like spin around, they're little fakies. And ta-da, there's the real thing. So we're going to go ahead and loosen these up, jack up the car, take off the wheel, install the spacer. Also, just as an aside, wouldn't my car look freaking sick with a lift? I mean, that looks pretty cool. Maybe in the future. I'm liking that. That should be a thing. Okay, so checking back in, I got the wheel off. Let's go ahead and put that spacer on. Now I have everything just loosely attached. I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything down now with my torque wrench, and for four-wheel drive, I think all Suburbans actually. I'm not sure about the 2500s, but for sure for two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, 1500 Suburbans, it is 140 foot-pounds of torque for the lug nuts on these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and torque everything down to that spec, and yeah, and then we'll go from there. So okay, so now that we've got the first wheel done with the new spacer added on, you can kind of see the difference. Before, this wheel was definitely inset, and now you can see, if we kind of look down the side, it does stick out, not significantly, but just a little bit. And that kind of gives the Suburban, you know, that beefy look I was kind of hoping for. So yeah, there it is there, and then you can compare it earlier in the video, or you can come back here and see how that wheel is totally inset. Normally, it's way behind the fender flares that are built onto the car. Come back to the front, totally sticks out. It makes it look like we've got a beefier set of tires on there, but it's just the wheel spacer. So now, let's get started on this one. And yes, I am very tired and very hot only after doing the one wheel spacer, because even though it is evening in California, it's California and it's still in the 90s and it's really hot. But we're gonna get started on that. Okay, so when it comes to the back wheels, same thing, just on the rear. Go ahead and position the jack on the frame rails and go ahead and start lifting up, and we'll go ahead and work on this tire now. Okay everyone, so I'm back, and today is a new day. It's Saturday. I went ahead and put on the passenger side rear tire spacer last night. But it was just getting a little too late after dinner and I was tired. So I'm gonna go ahead and go downstairs and we'll go ahead and do the very last wheel spacer, which is going to be on the passenger side front. And then once I do that, I'll go ahead and go on a little drive, and we'll see if we see any difference in the ride quality, or if there's any like wibble wobble, and we'll address that if that is a problem. But let's go ahead and get started. And excuse the bedhead, I'll get cleaned up afterwards, but let's go ahead and finish off this last wheel, and hopefully that all goes well. Yeah, before I move the car, I just wanted to get another shot real quick. This is the passenger side. I went ahead and did this one last night, like I said. And, you know, this just really shows, at least in, you know, I'm not sure about the camera if it's really picking it up, but the wheel on the back is really, I mean, the 2 inches makes a big difference to me. I think it's really sticking out a lot more than the front, as you can see. I mean, you can really see the profile of the tires sticking out, where on the front, I mean, you don't even see it at all. It's just totally shoved back. So yeah, I'm liking this upgrade already, but let's go ahead and move the car and get started. So before I jack the car up, I'm just loosening up the lugs first. Makes it a little bit easier. But one thing I did want to share, I learned 2 things yesterday and it popped in my head. One thing is it is really helpful if you use a socket wrench extender, because, you know, trying to do this around the fender flares and stuff, it gets a little tight, so having this extension is actually really helpful. And another thing is, what I was reading online is when on the front wheels, when you're trying to put on the wheel spacer and you're trying to tighten it up, because obviously you don't have a wheel on there, so you can't put it back on the ground, it likes to spin on you a little bit. So some people were having someone sit in the car and actually apply the brakes while they were tightening that stuff up. But since it's just me here, I went ahead and engaged four-wheel drive on my car before I parked it, and that keeps everything locked up while I'm trying to tighten everything down. So that's kind of my little helpful hint for how I got around that, but something to kind of keep in mind. So let's go ahead and keep going. So I also figured this would be a really good time to go over, I talked about doing the star pattern earlier. So when you're tightening up the lugs, it'll kind of center itself if you follow this pattern. And this applies to, you know, just installing wheels on your normal hub kind of setup anyways. So I figured I'd actually explain what that is. And pretty much all it is, the star pattern is, let's say I start tightening on this, and you don't want to, like, when you do your first round, you want to get it like kind of snug, but you're not really tightening. So like start with this one, kind of just loosely tighten that one up. Then you move across, so from top down, you go ahead and do this one. Now you're going to move up to here, do that one, and then move across and do that one, and then that one, and then your last one up here. So see how we kind of did a little star formation? So you're pretty much always going the farthest one across. So you went here, there, 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 there. And then you can go back with your torque wrench and tighten everything up. So I think after maybe like 100 miles or so, I'll come back and tighten all these things back up just to make sure everything's still working. Keep that in mind, but it's okay. A little tired, but we're going at it. And now we're just finishing up the last touches. Can't forget the most important part. Gotta have your wheel cover. Add that on. But yeah, I just want to say that this whole project really isn't that hard. If you've ever changed a tire before, then you should really not have an issue. And it's a good way to just kind of do something, you know, this isn't terribly expensive. These wheel spacers were sold in a pair. I'll go ahead and put the link below where I bought them from Rough Country. But I think they were like 60 bucks for a pair, so 120 for this whole upgrade. And I think it was like free shipping too, so that's awesome. Always got to get a good deal on that. But yeah. I think we're officially done. Yay! Now we gotta go for a drive. But first, let's do a little walk around and take a look. We've earned it. Yeah, this is kind of our final exterior shot with everything done. Please excuse the messy garage / workout area that doesn't get used that much. But you can kind of see that the wheels definitely stick out quite a bit. The 2 inches is really, you know, 2 inches doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually makes quite a difference. Everyone, well, just my family that's seen it so far, on the other side, they were really pleased with it. Definitely gives the car a beefier look, you know, even with not that much of an actual, you know, measurable difference. It changes the look. We're gonna go over here. Yeah. So, you know, I think it should handle, you know, the stability a little bit, because now my track, I think that's the right term for that, track, right? You know, how from here to here, you know, that, that's 4 inches larger now. So, you know, doing cornering and stuff like that should be marginally better. But, you know, I wasn't really doing it for that. I really just wanted the look, and I think I achieved it. But yeah, go ahead and also let me know what you guys think about just the look of the wheel spacers and how it makes the car. You know, if you think it looks beefier, a little more tough, manly. I think definitely I have ditched the soccer mom look, at least a little bit. Maybe not with all of the American decor still on the car, but I don't know, I'm liking it. Okay, so the plan was to make this part of the video while I was driving. However, I don't actually have my GoPro suction cup mount with me, and so this was kind of wobbling around. I just wasn't getting good audio or video. So I'm parked now, but it's about a week after I have mounted the wheel spacers on the car, and I do want to report back that so far everything has been very good. I haven't really noticed any negative aspects of the wheel spacers. Everything really drives pretty much as it did before. yeah, I don't really drive this car too aggressively, but around turns and stuff, it still handles the same. I was kind of thinking that it might actually handle a little better around, sharp turns at a higher rate of speed just because I am, a little wider now. But that's not even the case. It really handles exactly the same. And, maybe I'm just not refined enough in my driving to really, maybe someone else would notice that a little bit more than I would. But I was trying to pay attention, as hard as I could, and it really just feels the same. But really the main aspect I wanted to get to in this video in regards to the drive after the install is, whether or not they affect the driving ability. The short answer is no, they do not. And that is a good thing. That's actually what we want to hear. If they gave a benefit, that would even be great too. But they don't, at least I haven't noticed it. But the main thing is that, there's not a negative effect. So I say put them on. They work great and you really get a good look. So that's what I have to report back. And yeah, I think this was definitely a very good project for the Suburban, and it's good for me to get that kind of off-road rugged look, but it's still a daily driver. It's still very practical, and it handles just as it did when it came off the factory. Well, maybe not that good, but it handles just as well as it did a week ago. So I really hope this video was helpful for you guys. Anyone that was contemplating putting on wheel spacers onto their car, truck, probably, well, I guess you could put them on a car too. Yeah, you could. But I hope it was helpful for anyone wanting to install these on their vehicle. But yeah, go ahead and leave comments below. I really want to know what you guys think about the wheel spacers, both, if you guys like the look of them, and also what are your ideas of the safety of them, if you've ever had any, issues, if you've used them yourself or, friend or whatever. Go ahead and leave those comments below. And I should have prefaced this in the very beginning, but I think most of you guys know, I'm not a super automotive mechanic-y kind of guy. I never really grew up doing that, but kind of the whole point of me starting this YouTube channel was me wanting to learn more about how to work on cars and stuff like that, and kind of share that whole journey with you guys. It's kind of like, just an everyday Joe trying to figure out how to, do stuff like put on wheel spacers or anything else. So, everything that I'm doing, I'm totally open to criticism. Yeah, please let me know if you see me doing any grave error with any aspect of this install. And, say like, oh, Garrett, you really shouldn't have done X, Y, or Z. That's dangerous. Really feel free to let me know. Because I don't want to, crash or have a wheel fall off or something. So yeah, this is kind of my experience, learning this stuff. So, kind of everything I do, if you see like, oh my God, why did he do it that way? I'm learning, but go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I really appreciate you guys stopping by. And I also want to do a real quick thank you guys. I've had like 2 new subscribers in the last week or 2. I really appreciate you guys so much, more than you guys know. I do this for me, even if, I had, less subscribers, which I did for a while. I had like 2 or something. I'd still be making the videos, but having you guys watching, I really do appreciate it, and it pushes me to try to make better content and do more mods and stuff like that. So I just kind of wanted to do a quick little aside and say that I really appreciate you guys. And let's go for, I think the next goal is 20 subscribers. Let's see if we can do that. Please share this video if you thought it was helpful, or if I did anything stupid and you thought it was funny, that's okay too. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and stop by next time for another great video. And I hope you guys have a great day. See you next time. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I post a lot of good pictures of all the mods that I do to my cars, both the Suburban and the Corvette. And, that kind of gives you like a sneak preview, because I usually post stuff on there before I actually get the video online. So yeah, follow me on Instagram, link in the description below, or on my channel banner. As Mike would say, you got to look at that meat.